Welcome back to the Into My Chill Void podcast. Hopefully everyone is doing well. It is now May and I can't believe it. The time has just passed so quickly that we are almost to halfway through the year. It's insane. The older you get, time just goes so much faster. But what's going on in my life is my wife is about to have a vacation, and so we're going to do that, and we're not going to do anything crazy, just going to another town and doing some different fun activities. We noodled around a couple of different things, but this is what we just kind of landed on for right now. One of the things I'm excited about is there's this Italian restaurant I found that I'm very excited to try. I was reading the menu, and I could not pronounce a single menu item. That's when you know it's probably going to be good. Luckily, with the names that I couldn't pronounce and didn't know what they were, there was a description of the food, and the description of the food was very good. And I was like, we are going here, I'm making an executive decision, and my wife was like, okay. I was going to try to have us go to a beach that is nearby, but it does not open until June, so that was annoying, because my wife really wants to get with some water. But I told her I will only go to something like that if it's like the beach, because I am not doing a public pool. Not at all whatsoever. I'm not into that. So yeah, but I promised her in like June or July we would go do that. I was like, you're gonna get your water, do not worry. Speaking of water, fun fact, I can't swim. I have never been able to swim. Whether I had sight or not, was just never able to do it for some weird reason. I do wonder why some people can't swim and can. Hey, maybe I'll make that a chill fact of the day. And see, right there is how that happens. I will just be randomly thinking about something, and then I'll think about researching it, and then I'll have just this random fact I learn about. And then so I just put it in these segments of the chill fact of the day, just so it doesn't go to waste. With that being said, and a little update on my life, and like I said, hopefully yours is going just as well. Keep your head up no matter what. Things will get better. They will never be bad forever. But now we will get into today's topic of what am I rambling about today. Okay, so I'm going to run the random number generator and we are going to see what we get today. Alright, so we got the awesome number of number 1, which, let's see what that is. Okay, number 1 is places I have visited. So I don't know how long this one will be. I mean, I think I say that every episode because I just never know. But with this one, I haven't visited that many places. There hasn't really been that many. It's just a couple. And one of them that I'm going to mention, I have very faint memories. I was like 4 or 5, I think, when I went. So I think I will go in order from the last place I visited and like go from there, because that's the one that'll be the most recent and where I have the most memories from, which that was in 2019, I think June, July of 2019. I have to maybe double check on that, but I know it was in 2019 in the middle of the year. Something like that. And I went to New Jersey. For those who don't know, I live in Indiana, so this was my first time going to New Jersey, or the ocean for that matter. My wife's grandparents live there, and they are so great and so nice. They always came by like once a year to visit, and we kind of wanted to, I think my wife was having a week vacation, no pay on this one because it was really early on, but it was a vacation and we kind of wanted to visit. And so what they did was they came and picked us up. I can't remember exactly, but they might have already left back to New Jersey, and I think they might have came all the way back, picked us up, and drove us there and let us stay at their house, let us actually take their room over and stay in there because they had a master bathroom in there, and I'm blind, so they thought that would be easier. The nicest people ever that I've ever met. But so they did that, and like I said, they let us stay at their house in New Jersey. They even paid for everything. I love them. Just a shout out to Grandma Debbie, and God rest his soul, Grandpa John, who passed away in 2021 in June. He actually was the one who did our ceremony for our wedding. Just like in May 15th of 2021 is the day. So he survived like another 2-ish weeks after that. So it was this weird timing thing that he just made it to doing that. So, I miss him, and, God rest his soul. But back to the New Jersey story. So my wife had been down there before. She even lived down there for a period of time. So she had did some things. But of course it had been several years. So we went there and we just tried to figure out different things to do. Of course, one of the most biggest things was going to the beach. And this was new to me. I had never been to the ocean. Also, it was the boardwalk. And it was really actually cool because I wasn't sure, being blind, if I was going to be able to enjoy it. But because it was just a different type of atmosphere, I was able to enjoy it, right? The sand of the beach, the ocean waves, the sounds of seagulls, just the air was like salty. Like it just had a different feeling to it. So I was able to just take all that in, and it was very enjoyable, very, very fun. It's crazy to think that even that was like 6 years ago. So I may jump around a bit about the things we did, but I guess I'll just start with the biggest one, kind of in my mind, was the beach, the ocean. And it happened to be a perfect day. Like the weather was perfect. I also experienced that it's a lot colder near, like when you go onto the beach and are near the water. It's just this interesting, another sensory thing, a feel thing, and having the waves hit you and just, oh my god, the salt water getting in your mouth was so bad. But we, played around with the sand. I buried my wife halfway into the sand. It was just a fun time all around. And I learned, of course, the whole thing of sand travels with you when you go back home, and it's just really hard to get off. I now understand that. I now understand the ocean and just all the fun it can be. I know that we had a perfect weather day for it. So I know a different time. While we were there, we went to another beach. We were maybe looking for rocks to collect or something like that. And it was a different beach. And that beach, it was so hot, the sand. So that was another experience with a different beach that, the sand gets really hot. And although burning sand was unpleasant, it was still cool to get that experience, I suppose. Next is the boardwalk itself, and something I learned about this, if you've ever played Monopoly, there's a property called the Boardwalk, and this is based off that. So I actually visited the Boardwalk, which was very, very cool. We went through different shops and just different things to do in a couple different restaurants. So one thing we did that me and my wife did specifically, she wanted to go through the thing called Ripley's Believe It or Not, which just had all these different facts and things, and it was actually really cool and fun. And the one thing I remember, there was this one section where it was talking about this guy who was just giant, and like it had his hand made out to be how big it was to put your hand on it. I don't have very big hands, so it was an interesting experience, but Ripley's Believe It or Not was pretty fun, so that's one thing I remember us doing. Of course, the numerous shops. I remember eating at a restaurant before we went to the beach, and I regret this. I wish I would have ate more of their food. It was called the Rainforest Cafe. And this place was really cool. I kind of wish I knew what it looked like, but it just had all these animal sounds and like running water, like maybe rushing water. It sounded really cool. It was kind of noisy though, for my taste. Kind of annoying in that way. It was really loud, but it was still cool in a way. But I think all I ordered was like fries. because I knew we were going to the beach and I didn't want to just be full and stuffed while we were at the beach. So I just kept it light and ate some fries. But I found probably the most tasty drink I've ever had in my life. I had to have it 3 times while we were there that day. And it was called a Rainforest Ricky. It's like a fruit drink where they blend up fruit. I don't remember which ones. I think that you can look at the recipe online that shows what is in it. But it was so good. I loved the hell out of that drink. I think like as we were leaving, I got another one to go. And then after we had done the boardwalk and we were on our way walking back, I got another one as we were leaving the boardwalk. It was so good. I wish I could have another one, but I don't have one in my state. Of course, just walking through the boardwalk itself is an experience, hearing a bunch of peddlers trying to get you to buy their stuff. Very, very interesting. The seagulls, some of the seagulls, actually, I guess if you have food, will fly down and try to steal your food. This apparently happened to my wife when she was there as like a kid, and I think she had, I don't remember what it was, an elephant ear, which is like a funnel cake. I think that may be what she had, but apparently it flew down and tried to get it, and so she hates seagulls because of that. Another thing we did, which was the first time I had been to, it was at the Hard Rock Casino, and we also ate there. It was the Hard Rock Cafe, and the food there was okay. I don't remember it being great. I don't remember it being bad. It was just probably fine. But I remember this was the first time I had been to a casino, and I was like playing the different games and stuff. I think their grandparents had gave me and my wife $50 each to spend, and I actually did pretty good. I won a lot of money while my wife kept losing. It was kind of funny, but at the end of the day, we ended up just breaking even and like having $50 for each of us at the end to take home. So that was really cool. A really fun experience. I know my grandma Debbie was someone who really liked the casino and stuff, so I bet she enjoyed having us be there. What was really funny is we were there the whole time, and right as we were leaving is when they decided to card us, me and my wife. Because at the time, I'm trying to think how old we would have been. So I'm about to be 30 on May 22nd, so 6 years ago. Probably, I was 24 and my wife was 22. So it was funny that when we were leaving, they decided to card us. Like, okay, what are you doing? Why are you carding us now that we're leaving? Good job, guys. But so that was just kind of a funny thing as we were leaving. But overall, a very fun experience. Like I said, we just went through some other shops and stuff, and the boardwalk and the beach for that day was very memorable, and I loved it a lot. And of course, there was a couple different restaurants we went to. There wasn't nothing that blew my mind restaurant-wise. There was this diner restaurant they took us to, and I tried a cheeseburger pizza, which was not good. It was basically a cheeseburger, and they had put like sauce and other pizza toppings on it, and I didn't think it worked. We did end up trying a pizza place. Pizza is basically my favorite food, and I can't remember what it was called, 4 Winds or 4 Seasons Pizza, one of those two. And that pizza was actually pretty good. I remember that being not too bad, but nothing really blew me away food-wise except for this one thing. When I think I was talking about the beach, the second beach that we were like moving around on, and we found this place because we were like far out, and it was next to the ocean, and it was a lobster and I think shaved ice shop. And now this is my one big regret of the trip. So I didn't really usually eat seafood or anything like that, other than maybe a breaded fish sandwich, but that was really it when it came to fish and seafood. But this place sold lobster rolls, and I wasn't really interested in it, but my wife had eaten one, and she, at the last minute when they were almost done, she said, "Hey, you should try it, take a bite." And guys, this lobster roll, the little bite I took, tasted so good because the lobster was recently freshly caught, so it was fresh. And I now understand the difference between fresh and not fresh lobster. It was so good. I wish I would have had one of my own, but I didn't know. I was like, I don't like seafood, but it was so tasty. When we ended up getting back, I actually went to Red Lobster and I got a lobster pizza. That lobster, guys, had no taste. It wasn't bad, but it had no flavor. It was tasteless. It was so weird. It was like the huge, biggest difference from like just freshly caught from the ocean. It was amazing. Like, the difference that I now understand was crazy. If we go back, I definitely want to repeat. I definitely want to know the name of that shop because I want to redo. I'll take all the lobster rolls now. I know we also went to an aquarium and that was fun and just everything. I may be forgetting something that we did because it was 6 years ago, but I think that's like about mostly what we kind of did. And it was really fun. And like I said again, they paid for all of it. I'm so grateful for them giving us that time and we didn't have to worry about any money. Like, I love them. They're great. They're the best. I just can't say that enough. But yeah, I think the last day we just kind of chilled at their house because we were, tired from all the excitement. And so we just wanted to chill there for a day. And that's what we did. And then we went back. They drove us all the way back. This is a 10-hour drive, by the way. This was the longest drive I think I'd ever been on. Maybe. The drive the place I went to that I was a kid that I don't really remember that well, that one might have been longer. I can't remember. But I think the New Jersey drive was longer. 10 hours is very long. But yeah, that was my New Jersey trip in a nutshell. The best trip I've ever had in my life, honestly. So enjoyable. We, of course, collected seashells and brought them back. I think we still have them. Maybe. Hopefully we didn't get rid of them. I don't know. I'll have to ask my wife. But yeah, a trip that I will never forget. And I will one day hopefully want to go back. The next place I have visited, by the way, these are all in the United States. But the next place that I have visited, and I visited it at least 2 times, maybe 3, can't remember, but I know at least I've been there twice. It is Tennessee, and from ages around maybe 10 to like 15, 16 of my teenage years, I'm pretty sure, probably from 10 to 16 I had went there twice. I remember being there I think at least once when I was 16. So, and maybe another time when I was younger. But the last time I was there when I was 16, so we're looking at 14 years ago. So it's hard to completely remember a lot about it. But what I do remember is the 6-hour drive that had been kind of like the longest I'd been more aware of. And it was not fun. I really didn't like the drive, but when we got there, we always had stayed in cabins. And the first time it was kind of high up. And then the second time, my dad was like, oh, I got a lower one this time. But this one was like at the top, at the tippity top of the mountain. And I'm afraid of heights, guys. And I had sight at this point. I didn't go blind until I was 22. So the view of the mountain peaks when we were up there, it was beautiful, but it was also terrifying at the same time. Of course, the cabins were really nice, had everything you can imagine, a jacuzzi, big screen TV, all the nice furniture, rooms and stuff to sleep at, all just really nice. Some of the activities I remember us doing while we were there, we did this twice the 2 times we were there. There's this place that had an arcade and go-karts. And you could, I can't remember, it was like $20 for 100 tokens. And then you also got like a free, not a free, but you got one like ride for the go-karts. And I think I didn't do it when the first time we were there, but the second time when I was 16 I did. And so I have driven a go-kart and it actually was really fun. I do have to remind that I still had bad eyesight at this point, but after I drove a go-kart, my dad jokingly was like, I don't even know if he was joking, I couldn't completely tell. He's like, well, you drove the go-kart just fine, it's not that much different than a car, so maybe you'll be able to drive one day. Yeah, that never ended up happening. But yeah, the go-karts were really fun, the arcade was really fun, remember doing that. I remember my sister being there one of these times. That's just one of my siblings, my like sister who's older than me, but I have like 2 other siblings that are even older. They weren't with us, but I remember my mom and my sister going to a mirror maze while me and my dad went to a car museum. And the car museum was cool. It just really sucks that I did this when I was like 16, because when you're 16, you don't care as much. I still thought it was cool, but I couldn't appreciate it as much as I would now. So that's the unfortunate things about different things you do as a kid that would be really awesome and you could appreciate more as an adult. But, you know, what can you do? I can still remember it being neat. And I remember my mom and sister having not a fun time with the mirror maze, running into it and all that, so that was kind of funny. My sister did this lift thing that went way up to this like shop high up. I wouldn't do it and my mom wouldn't do it. My mom was also afraid of heights, but they did it. Apparently my dad was just shaking the thing because your feet are just dangling. So it's like, no, I'm not going to do that, but that's something they did, which was interesting. We did, of course, eat at a bunch of different restaurants, and I honestly do not remember any of them. I wish I had better memories, or more memories that I could remember from the Tennessee trips, but I just can't, and it really sucks. But that's mostly what I can remember. I know one thing we did on the second time, which really sucked. It was my dad wanted to do a trail up this mountain. It was just a path that has been made. And he was like, oh, it's not so bad. I can't remember. They said it was maybe a 2-hour walk up there. And we kept going up. And as we were going up, we would see people coming back down, and they looked awful. They looked so tired and sweaty. And it's like, oh, man, is it that bad? Wonder why they look like that. And we found out why they looked like that. So this was a walk. And I remember there was this gap, this big gap, this plank, this piece of wood that had a rope with it, and that you hold on to it. And this piece of wood was not wider than, it was probably a foot wide maybe. And then there's a rope, and you just go across. If you fall, you die. It's over. If you fall, you die. There's just an abyss underneath. So that was really scary and terrifying. Did not like that. Did not like having to go up it. Did not like having to go back down it. And then so we finally get all the way up there to see these waterfalls up top. And again, I wish I could have appreciated it more, but no one was able to appreciate it because we were all tired and sweaty and unhappy with my dad at the time. He's like, hey, don't you see the cool waterfalls? And we are all like, we don't care. Because, yeah, this walk was a little more bad and hard than we thought it would be. But, so yeah, I wish I could have enjoyed the waterfalls a little bit more. But they were still cool. And then we went on our way down back. And it was just very tiring. I know when we were, going down, my dad's like, oh, we'll go after this and get some pizza, I think. I don't remember what pizza we had. But hopefully it was good to make up for that horrendous walk. I, of course, do remember a little bit of going through these different shops and the different things you could do there. And I was dating a girl at the time when I was 16, and so I had a shirt made, an airbrush shirt with her name and stuff on it. It was a waste. My parents were like, don't do it. Your brother has done this. And if you break up, the shirt is worthless. And that actually ended up happening. So I did not heed the warnings. I was a love-struck teenager, and I still got the shirt. And we ended up breaking up, and I burned it in a fire pit. That when my parents had a fire, so that was a wasted thing. But of course, I got other things, different things that I could enjoy having as souvenirs down in good old Tennessee. But overall, from the memories that I do remember, Tennessee was fun and good. I don't really know that I'd want to go back. I know I visited Pigeon Forge, I think, and I think Gettysburg, was that one of them? And I think a third one. I can't remember around those towns or whatever. There was this scary moment though when we were driving up this mountain, and it was a thin mountain road that went up very high, and someone was coming down with a truck. It was a truck that drove stick, and for some ungodly reason that person did not have reverse. So as we're going up, they're coming down. They can't reverse, and it's like we don't know that we have enough room to get by. So I'm sitting in like the back seat on the right side, looking over the edge, and like I don't even know if like our tire had hung off or anything. Like it was so narrow. Like if luckily it ended up being okay, but we could have just fell to our deaths there. So that's one very scary thing, and probably a near-death experience kind of that I remember, just looking over and being very scared. I don't know who has a truck with no reverse on a mountain. It seems really stupid, but you know, okay. I did just remember this, something that did happen. It was at night, and the cabin next to us, no one was there, but yet we saw like a candle lit. And it seemed really creepy and spooky, and it was like a windy night as well. I think the wind had blew a chair on the balcony, and it was like across the, like, so we're like, oh, did a ghost move? It's like, no, it's just the wind. So it was a very spooky night in general, and then you just see like next door just this little faint light coming from a cabin, and we're like, is that inhabited? And I remember like somebody knocking on the door. I think it was like the owners of the cabins, right? I don't know what you would call them, but they checked with us like, hey, have you seen anybody in that cabin? And we're like, we saw a little flame, but we didn't know anyone that was actually staying there. So I wonder if someone was had broken in and was staying in there, which would have been crazy since it was the one right next to ours. But yeah, that just aligned in a weird way to make it a creepy night. But that's really my last memory that I could come up with for Tennessee. But definitely a fun experience growing up as a kid. But that's all I got for that one. The last two places I've visited outside of Indiana, these ones will be a little more quicker because they were there for a short period of time, especially one of them, which is Kentucky, which is south of Indiana. I actually went there. We had drove through there before, but I hadn't done anything there. This one was specifically because when I was younger, at this point I had a blind assistant from like the school for the blind or whatever. I wasn't actually blind at this point, but they had sent someone to like help me. And I remember in art class, we did this weird tape painting thing where you made like a portrait of yourself, but with tape, and then you painted it and all that. And I remember the person from the School for the Blind asked, hey, this is really cool. Maybe we should submit this for an art thing, like a blind art show. And I didn't really know much about it. I don't remember how old I was. I was maybe in 5th or 6th grade, so I was pretty young. I know at least I was at least 10 years old. Maybe a little bit more, maybe like 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. And yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, not thinking much of it. And then somehow in the category that I was submitted in, I actually had won 3rd place. So they had told us, hey, there's going to be a banquet and a announcement of like the winners and stuff. So you should come, and it's in Kentucky. And that was really something cool that I didn't expect. I remember the instructor telling me, hey, how much do you want to sell this for? Because, you know, it is an art thing at the end of the day, but I didn't understand that. I was like, who is going to want to buy this crap? That's what my thought was. So I think I just said like $50 or something. But yeah, that was weird. It never ended up getting sold or anything. But yeah, I remember I won 3rd place. I got a ribbon, and I won $50 and then the free dinner, and they also paid for our like gas for transportation and all that. And I remember being there with my family, my parents, and we ended up going, it's like eating at this like dinner with all these tables. You didn't have a table to yourself. It was like multiple families on these big like circular tables. So there was my parents, and I think there was my instructor. Her name was Bev. I call her my instructor. I can't think of the right name at the moment to call what she did. Like she helped people for like with blindness and stuff though. And so she was there. I don't remember if my sister was there or not, but that's what I remember. And I remember us eating around the table. There was cheesecake and a free dinner. And then the announcers announcing my name. And Yeah, it was the first time I had kind of gotten up in front of a crowd, so it was really, really scary and I was really nervous. And so they had like announced that and all that, and yeah, that was cool. So that was like the most time we had spent in Kentucky, like being there for something. So that's what I remember, and so it was neat and a cool memory being in Kentucky. Last place I have went to is like out of my state is Kansas. And this was where my grandfather had lived. And like I said, I was like 4, 5, 6. I was really young, and it was like after Easter. I remember that much. And they had, I guess, talked them into like having us go over there. And so that was something that happened. Because my mom had recently met her dad. She didn't know him, so she knew him for a couple years. But so that was something we wanted to do. So my grandparents took us over there while my parents drove themselves. And the drive is so fuzzy. The only thing I remember from the drive is it was the first time I had driven a long distance, and I felt very nauseous. I remember us being in a McDonald's, and it's like, oh, what do you want? And then I just throw up. I go, blah. And then after I throw up, I was like, I want pancakes. As a child does. They feel sick, they throw up, and then they want food. And I remember my grandmother is like, he doesn't need no damn pancakes. And so then we just ended up, I think, leaving. I don't know if anybody ordered anything or not. So that's just a memory. And then going to my grandfather's house, I don't remember it the most, but it seemed like a nice house. Across from it was a stable, and like there was horses like over the fence and stuff. So I think there's like maybe a farm there or something. I don't really remember it too much, and I don't remember like the landscape, honestly. But that was like the earliest I can remember. I think I will add something else here for places I visited. This isn't out of state. This is a place we visited a couple times with my family, and it's this place called Lake Washitosh, and it is in the middle of nowhere. Like my parents, it's crazy that they found it. I think they said they saw a billboard near where they were like camping at, and they ended up like checking it out. But it's a place where you can rent cabins, and it's in like the wilderness, kind of. There's a lodge there that you can go to that has Wi-Fi and a bunch of different activities like pool, foosball, ping pong table, just a bunch of different stuff there in this cool lodge thing that also shows the history and just different things. It was a really cool place, and the thing that did suck about it was in the middle of nowhere, so getting phone service was very difficult. But the whole point was to get away, and I remember we went a couple times and the cabin had evolved over the times that we had been there. Because before, I don't even think it had a TV, and then the air unit was like not as good, but over the time they had replaced the air unit, and then they had put like a flat screen TV in there. It wasn't big, but it was enough to do stuff on, and I remember them updating stuff. I remember it's so fun there. It's so peaceful, and the cabin we got had its own kind of dock. Some of the cabins were more closer together, and the docks were more closer together, but my dad wanted to get this one cabin that was like kind of by itself, and it had its own dock. And I remember fishing and just it being so peaceful. You walking out in the morning and you don't hear cars, you don't hear nothing, you just hear birds. And I heard a woodpecker. That was the first time I heard a woodpecker, like with the echoing of it, like just pecking trees. And you just hear just the nature and the water like from the lake. It's just so peaceful. So I think if you know a place like that, it can do wonders for your mental health, definitely. And that was like the last place I had went when I had sight, like one of the last places I visited. It was the last like vacation or place I went to when I had sight. It was right before I left it. I am so glad and grateful because I was able to finally bring my wife there. At the time, she was still just my girlfriend, but I was able to finally bring her there and show her. It was fun and peaceful. This place that I had been to several times for just being young to a teenager. And we had a great fun time. It was just awesome. They have these they had these pigs that just get to walk around, and my wife got to see those just randomly walking around. We gave them some food. It was pretty fun watching her geek out about that. Something that we've kind of learned is that birds hate my wife. Whenever she has encounters with birds, they get mad at her and do not like her. I told you about the seagull story. When we were just taking a walk while we were there was this crane, and my wife was wanting to film it, so she started filming it, and the crane kind of like puffed out its chest and just got mad and was like squawking at her, and then it like flew away angry. And it just has been this really running joke that birds hate my wife, and it's kind of true. I don't know why, but every encounter with a bird, they just do not like her. But like I said, a really great end to like me, going blind, like being one of the last places I saw when I had sight. I'm glad I just had that one last one, because that would have really sucked. But yeah, so those are just kind of different places outside of my state, and then one place we've been to a lot that I've been to that I really enjoyed. So that's kind of it for this segment. Like I said, my memory's not the greatest, so hopefully I remembered at least enough. Let me know places you have visited outside of your state or even country, I guess. Something I have never done, and let me know what your favorite place has been that you have visited. But yeah, that has been it for What Am I Rambling About Today, and this topic of places I have visited. It's time for the chill fact of the day. Today's fact will be pretty short, but it's still interesting to me. And the chill fact of today is platinum is less valuable than diamonds. And this is very weird because platinum is the most rarest metal on Earth, but is a lot less valuable than diamonds. Diamonds can be 10 times more valuable than platinum. So the rarest does not definitively mean it will be the most expensive. So that's very interesting, at least to me. But that has been it for the chill fact of the day. Hope you enjoyed it. It's now time for Tidbits with Dylan. You can have Pop-Tarts normal. You can have Pop-Tarts in the toaster. But have you ever thought to try and freeze the Pop-Tarts? Frozen Pop-Tarts are great. Give them a try, but you might want to let them de-thaw a little bit, or else you might break your teeth. This is a public service announcement. Pull-ups are hard. Extremely hard. Gargantuanly hard. Atomically hard. This might be a hot take. It could be a cold take. Pun intended. Vanilla ice cream is way better than chocolate. Fight me. And here we are, at the end, again. For the 6th time. Hopefully you are here with me at the end for the 6th time as well. As usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys have a great whatever time of day it is. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you in the next one.